Well, it's day 79 of the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico, and now tar balls are threatening new areas.
That's very right, Hassan. British oil giants BP and the U.S. government are still unable to stop crude from gushing into the water. Oil from the ruptured well is now seeping into Lake Pontchartrain in New Orleans. Officials say strong winds from Hurricane Alex helped crude slip past lines of barges. State authorities have closed the lake's eastern reaches for fishing. Tar balls from the massive leak have also washed up on beaches in Texas. This means that all 5 U.S. Gulf states, they're Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, and Texas, have been directly hit by the disaster. Meanwhile, stormy weather has kept oil skimmers from working offshore for yet another day. Well, I'm going to be discussing this one with Mr. Larry+birns. He is Director of Council on Hemispheric Affairs. He's joining us from Washington. Larry+birns, it's good to have you with us. In the early days of the oil spill, BP used to come up with, as many say, media strategies to say that it had new innovative ideas to cap the well. It's been quite a while now. We haven't heard of new BP strategies to stop the oil and save the Gulf of Mexico. I want to get your take on that, please.
Well, BP certainly has had a strategy du jour, and what was born this morning evaporated by next. And so the company, which is one of the world's largest corporations, has a real problem with credibility. And there is a kind of operational skepticism that comes in response to every claim or every pledge that BP makes. The latest desire or latest strategy has to do with a massive 1,000-foot-long oil tanker called the a+whale. This a+whale can process about 500,000 barrels a day of water, which is the equivalent. That is, the oil that will be derived from that process will be the equivalent of the oil that has been processed up to this point. And so this could represent a dramatic breakthrough if it works. And everyone, including the U.S. Coast Guard, have come out with optimistic statements that it is going to work. But the lack of credibility of all concerned is so deep, it is so abiding, that the locals just don't believe any of the statements that are being made. And in fact, not only is the credibility of BP at stake, but also the credibility of the Obama administration, because there's a lot of connections between the White House and what's going on in off of New Orleans right now.
Sure. Mr. Burns, for a while, I'm sure you remember this, words of an escrow account were going on, and registering victim claims topped the headlines in the United States. But later BP said it is not going to compensate all victims of the spill. What do you think the real picture is? What is going to happen to the businesses like this, and more importantly, how is it going to compensate the ecological damages?
Well, the ecological damage is vast, and there's a decreasing amount of optimism that we're going to get away at low cost, at least low ecological cost, from what's going on. This is the biggest oil spill that has ever occurred in the Gulf, one of the largest in the world. It is a terrifying prospect, and very few people seem to have good answers. And what is amazing is that even before the Deepwater Horizon fire and explosion began, a federal court found that BP and the U.S. government had not properly upheld the law in preparing contingency plans as to what would happen if such a catastrophe occurred. Now, the Obama administration is very vulnerable because of the fact that if it can be shown that Obama dawdled after taking office, when the crisis began to gradually become known, the magnitude of the crisis, if he wasted time and didn't react immediately, the already kind of deep hostility against him because of his leftist political attitudes, that is going to fuel, it's going to drive a major repudiation of Obama, which could lead to his being unsuccessful in his presidential reelection race several years from now. So a lot's at stake here. This is a very big deal.
Sure. Mr. Burns, there are reports that some mysterious kind of acid rain, which is the result of the chemical or the dispersant that BP has used, is now destroying the crops in the Gulf. Have there been any official assessment of any particular damages, as you know?
That story is just developing right now. We don't know very much about it. But what your observation does prove out is this, and that is that that bad news has many masters, and the possibility that not only will the reputation of BP be permanently damaged, and not only will the credibility of the Obama administration be adversely affected, but also people's faith in the free enterprise system will also be shaken, taken after the fact of the various economic meltdowns that have occurred and the scandals surrounding major corporations and banks.
Sure.
The question is, where are all these people who salute the flag on July 4th, but in every other day of the calendar, money comes first?
And of course, no explanation as to why this silent over the irregularities that initially happened in MMS and the blast that killed the 11 workers on the rig. Many thanks, Larry Birns, Director at Council on Hemispheric Affairs in Washington. Well,